let's focus our attention on diversity of private education in Pakistan. As we've looked through this module, the private sector is diversified. There are at least 3 or 4 types. There is, of course, the Islamic religious schools, there are the Christian missionary schools, there are the NGO schools, and then there are schools set up by private entrepreneurs. This diversity makes an issue for policy makers because the reason for the madrasa schools, the reason for the missionary schools, the reason for the entrepreneurial schools are all different. And when the objectives, the reasons, the aims, the goals are different, the policy can't be the same. And this area is underexplored in literature. In other words, again, enough research is not done on the private sector diversity of schools in Pakistan. With 4 different types, minimum, of private sector schools, what are they doing? What kind of education are they providing? What kind of infrastructures do they have? What kind of facilities they have? What kind of teachers do they employ and hire? And what kind of students do they get? What are their results? Are the madrasa students producing the same results in matric as the Christian missionary schools, as the private entrepreneurial schools, as the NGO schools? If they are different and the difference is large, then some school is not doing the right things. As a result, private sector as the provider of education has generally been treated as a homogenous category. For policy making, the private sector, and it's treated as one gel. It's treated as a homogenous unit. All private sector schools are the same. No, even if you look at the private sector schools, you have the elite English medium, you have the so-called English medium, you have the private Urdu medium schools. There's a difference even there. How can the policymakers look at the private sector as one entire unit, one homogeneous unit? That's not the right way to deal with private sector policies, though to a lesser degree than the public education sector. The public education sector is more homogeneous. That's a given because the government dictates what happens, what textbooks to use, what curriculum to follow, the students in the classroom, where the schools will be. The government dictates that. So to a large extent, yes, the government or public sector schools are more homogeneous. But the private sector schools are absolutely not homogeneous at all. The private sector schools are very, very heterogeneous. And when they are heterogeneous, a homogeneous policy document is not going to work. So the government really needs to step in and look at the policy or policies for private sector education. Ordinarily, differentiation is made between low and high fee schools. So this school charges very low fee, this school charges very high fee. That's one difference. But there is a range in the middle that nobody looks at. Then there is the Urdu medium school and the English medium school with different syllabi. So Urdu medium and English medium, we think it's those two, but they're not. There are lots of other schools that are bilingual, lots of other schools that are not even Urdu or English medium, and there are so-called English medium schools also that claim to be English medium, but everything that happens inside is in Urdu or some other regional language. So again, there is a range there that needs to be addressed. And different syllabi for boys and girls. Girls can't study math. Girls can't do physics. It's not for them. Why? Why is it not for them? Let the girls also study the math and physics. You never know who you'll create from among that set. So when you have these separate syllabi, the mindset being that boys should do this and girls should do that. Today, there's a mixture. Come on, we have girls who fly planes and we have boys who cook in hotels and restaurants. So these are not gender-specific fields anymore. However, in reality, the private educational institutions can be classified along a much broader range of categories. We need to look at the range of the fee structure, the range of the medium of instruction, the range of courses and subjects taught. We cannot just look at this and say that is what it is. We need to cover the entire range that the private sector deals with.